Well, your book has a lot of techniques in it and approaches, attitudes, if you will. Uh, Really, I might summarize it as instructions on how to lead a good life, how to lead a satisfying, flourishing life. And I've, we've spent a lot of time talking about you and your background. Can you give us the 40,000-foot view? Maybe take us through some of the principles that you are putting across here in your book.
Yeah. So let's start with, I think, the highest level view, which is that we believe, number one, that we've got to stop pathologizing life, meaning that every depressive episode or anxious episode gets diagnosed and treated. We've basically created this medical model of what I would call a response to life. And I think, number one, we've all got to think that that's not the right thing to do, and probably come up with a better way. We believe that normalizing this whole concept of depression and anxiety and PTSD and whatever other moral injury, we hear them all. I mean, there's all sorts of names that come up every other day. Somebody's coming. I just saw another paper on transition stress. So all this, all this stress and all these names, military sexual trauma, which could mean that you were raped in the military, or it could mean that a guy put his hand on your shoulder or a girl put her hand on your shoulder and it offended you. So I don't want to downplay, sexual harassment by any means, but when you label something, it creates something that's unknown and how to deal with it. So we're trying to normalize life and have people understand that no matter who we are in life, your life is a series of ups and downs. You can literally map that out from the minute you're born, right? It's like we don't know the unknowns, but we pretty much know the major things in life that are going to happen. You're going to get born, you're going to go through schooling, people in your family are going to die, you're going to get pets, those pets are going to die, you're going to buy new cars, those cars are going to get wrecked, and this is kind of the story of my life, right? It's like it's ups and downs, and at some point in time, at the end of this sine wave of life, is your mortality. Now, the issue is that, and one of the things that I really believe that the military is good at understanding after combat specifically, is that we do understand mortality very well. When you come into the military and you get through all your basic training, you kind of feel like Superman, almost immortal. And most 19 and 18 and 17-year-olds, maybe even 24 and 25-year-olds, kids on Wall Street, who just finished their MBA at Harvard, they feel like they're immortal until they get close to a mortality issue, watching their father die or their grandparents die or whatever it might be. So you can map this whole life out. So if we all can normalize that and understand that we're going to have a series of trauma in our life, then what do we do to really make that sine wave look more like a roller coaster than a heartbeat? And meaning spikes and valleys, versus this kind of rolling, roller coaster of what life is going to look like. So if we can get to that place, then really, I think people start to understand that life is stressful. Life, as we say in the book, life isn't hard, it's hard work. We've got to get through these work. So what we try to do is tell people that if you can imagine that this curvy line going down maybe a road where your car's curving a little bit, and the borders of that road, on one border, what we have to do to have a good life is to create what we would refer to in our book as wellness practices. Having the ability to self-regulate, as an example. We have a saying that if you can't self-regulate, you self-medicate. And we know that once you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, whether they're legal or illegal, it's very difficult to come out of those addictions. So wellness practices, and I'll talk a little bit more about our wellness model in a second, are one side of the road. The other side of the road is your network of people, because we believe a couple of things. We believe, one, that humans are in fact, we do in fact thrive on relationships. So getting the right relationships in our life are very important. The other thing we believe is that we become the average of the 3 to 5 people that we spend the most time with. So obviously, if you're spending time with 3 to 5 drunks, you're going to be a drunk. If you're spending time with 3 to 5 entrepreneurs, there's a good chance that that might rub off on you. So having a network of people and mentors in your life that can help you along the way when times get bad. And I'm not saying, and I even say it in the book, I've got a group of friends that I love to go fishing with, love to have a beer with. But if something was bad in my life, I would not ask them for help, right? But they're fun. On a Wednesday night, you want to go bowling, that's the group you call. But if something bad's happened in your life, those aren't necessarily the guys I want to call. I've got my 3 to 5 closest friends that I can kind of disclose that to.
Yeah, sure.
And then to go back to the wellness practices, we believe that there's 4 critical areas of wellness in our lives that we've got to work on. And that's your mind, your body, your finances, and your spirituality.